everyone! So in this episode, I am going to give you tips on how you can approach sponsors for your pageant. So let's do a little bit of a recap. Prior to this video, I actually released an episode on how much it costs to join a pageant. And a lot of you were asking in the comment section, like, how do we get sponsored? And I also thought of doing this episode because I watched this documentary before about pageantry in another country and how they approach sponsors. So parang you just approach one person who has money and is willing to spend everything for you. Medyo sketchy yung pagka-portray nila doon, and I would attest that I didn't go through that at all. I respectfully approach people who would be willing to help me. And may mga crass comments kasi from the previous video na parang, wait, hindi ko naman na-experience yan, or yung mga friends ko nung nagpa-pageant journey ako, hindi rin naman na-experience yan. So hopefully in this video, I get to answer that by sharing with you guys how I approached my sponsors during my pageant days. The one biggest thing that we have to get out of the way in pageants is to find our evening gown designer and national costume designer. So before submitting our applications, we pretty much have a rough idea of which designers we want to work with. But of course, tulad ko lang na I was just starting out back then. I don't have a name for myself. I didn't really model for any of the designers. I didn't know anyone that I could approach who would be willing to shell out a lot of money for a design that I would be using for my pageant. So for this one, I really had to rely on Ton Lau, whom Ann Collis introduced me to. Kasi si Ann and I trained together for Binibining Pilipinas. So Ann Collis was such a sister to me, and introduced niya ako kay Ton Lau, who then introduced me to Edwin Tan, who did my gown for Binibining Pilipinas Finals Night. And then for my national costume, si Ann Collis din yung nag-introduce sa akin to Mac Tumang, where I had to drive all the way to Pampanga. Like, mga 2 or 3 times ako nag-drive doon para lang i-fit yung gown. And it was not a customized gown for me. It was already a ready-made gown, so Mac just had to adjust a few things for it to be able to fit me. And then, I won Binibining Pilipinas, and then Ton Lau referred me naman to Sir Val Taguba, who made me 2 dresses, a white one and a gold one, and I love them both so much. And I swear guys, sobrang ang dali niyang i-pack sa maleta ko. I only brought like 2 huge maleta, including my national costume, which is also by Val Taguba. I feel like my collaboration with Sir Val, sobrang hubog siya sa katawan ko, if you can say that. Like, I feel like his gowns are always made for me. It was appropriate for the pageant look, pero hindi rin siya like super sparkly and beady and heavy. So I really appreciated that with his designs. And when Sir Val was actually sketching the designs, I did not understand anything. Like, hindi ko rin siya ma-visualize for myself. Although nakita ko yung different aesthetics si Sir Val, and he made me try on different silhouettes na he specializes in. Like, he does really good serpentine cuts as well as ball gowns. Pero kasi sa pageants, I was sure that I didn't want to wear a ball gown. And then he just asked me kung anong color yung gusto ko for my final dress. And I knew I wanted to wear the color gold because I do agree with yung binabagayan yung crown sa final gown mo. So a lot of consideration and thought needs to be put into your final gown. So I really just had a say on the color, and alam kong gusto ko body hugging yung gown ko, and that's pretty much it. At that point, I really trusted the aesthetic of Val Taguba din. So I didn't really want to put my hand in too much sa work niya because I want his creativity to like do the work, and baka kung masyado pa akong makialam that time, parang feeling ko baka ma-inhibit pa siya. When you partner up with a designer, make sure that type mo yung aesthetic nila. Kasi sometimes feeling ko one mistake that we usually do is to approach a designer and have this vision na totally different from their aesthetic. Like, for example, there are designers na very structural talaga yung skill nila. Or meron naman designers na flowy, and may designers naman na beady. Tapos may mga designers na clean lang talaga. Like, I remember Jazz Cerezo and her game-changing evening gown for Elizabeth Clancy. So make sure na before you even approach the designer, you have an idea of their aesthetic already. So that pretty much gives you an idea on what to expect from them, just so you're both on the same page. Now, when it comes to ready-to-wear designers, during Binibining Pilipinas, like I mentioned in my previous video, link up here, I didn't really wear a lot of designer clothes during my Binibining Pilipinas journey because they provided us with Binibining Pilipinas shirts. Now, when I was on my Miss Grand International journey, I knew I had to serve looks every day. So I contacted designers myself through Instagram. Ako mismo nag-message sa kanila if they would be willing to let me borrow some clothes for my pageant. And thankfully, since we're in the Philippines and pageants are a big thing, you don't really have to explain what you're gonna use them for. Alam na nila yon, and they have an idea also of who you are. So it's not such a difficult process. And eventually, I got to be longtime friends with these designers whom I still work with until today. They still make dresses for me. I still pull out from them. And with this friendship also comes a fair share of horror stories about other candidates also who pull out clothes from them, but one, don't give them proper credit on social media. And number two, they don't return the clothes on time. Number three, they don't send the clothes to dry cleaning before they return it to the designers. So I'll try to give you a picture from both sides since I came from both sides already. So I'll start from the perspective of the candidate naman. There were times that I couldn't post photos, kunwari if I wore a designer outfit during rehearsals. So pageants can be really busy na at that time. Wala na kaming time to get a really nice picture. There are times na parang sa hallway lang with bad lighting or it's a bad photo. So feeling namin hindi rin naman namin magawa ng justice for the designer if that happens. So parang we end up not posting. Tapos wala nang chance to do it because we're so tired na, and then super puno yung schedule na rin namin at that time. Usually we borrow more than one outfit naman from a designer. So the next time I do wear their outfits, I post it. Pero hindi ko rin ma-promise na every time I wear one of their designs, I could post about it. Kasi there's just so much going on. Minsan parang nasa tornado ka na parang ano nangyayari? Okay, sige, go lang. And then by the time na your day ended, you're just so tired and you need to take care of yourself pa para the next day fresh ka pa rin at hindi ka mahagardo versosa, di ba? But as much as possible, we do give credit where credit is due. And we are so thankful talaga to the designers to trust us with their clothes. It also costs a lot to make and they're lending it out to us for free, which is why we have to take care of them, ladies. Meaning that you make it a point na if you know you can't return it at once, like on the day that you promise or paglanding mo sa Pilipinas, usually you need a week or two for things to settle down, wala na yung media interviews where you're still pulling out more clothes instead of returning them. In that whirlwind, make sure you get to text your designer or message your designer na, is it okay if I return the clothes on this day na lang para at least I'm sure that I can commit to that date. Kasi pangit din tignan na sila yung maghahabol sa'yo. Some of them do have deadlines. Like for example, there's a celebrity who wants to borrow the design that you wore, or some client wants to buy what you wore from the designer. So you have to return them na. So yun, para okay lang ba if pag-grab ko na lang? Kasi ako, I usually return it to the designers na ako mismo maghahatid ng clothes. Kasi kailangan ko talaga alagaan yung clothes. I know how much they're worth. So takot din ako na mawala or ma-damage along the way. And I just don't see their creations riding on the back of a Grab in a paper bag. So feeling ko, in a way, parang you have to treat it na parang sacred din yung clothes kasi pinahiram lang yan sa'yo. So message your designer ahead of time if you can't return the clothes on time. And that would also show that you're a professional because you would somehow still work with the same designers in the future, especially if you have hosting or guesting or appearances. So they would be more than willing to lend you a bunch of clothes kung nakikita nila na inaalagaan mo yung mga damit. And in fact, there are designers that I've built such good relationships with that they don't even care na minsan na, sige lang girl, anytime, basta anytime daan ka lang, pull out ka, kung kailangan mo, i-message mo lang ako. Yung ganong level. So that's really priceless. Kasi sometimes kung mawala yung trust nila sa'yo, they won't even lend you clothes anymore. Or titipirin ka na parang whenever you visit them, isa lang pwede mong hiramin. Ganon. And make sure that you send the clothes to dry cleaning first before you return it to them because syempre, kahit na feeling mo nasa aircon ka naman, syempre hindi mo maiwasan na pinapawisan din kayo and you spray on perfume sa clothes. So once they pull out the clothes and you return them, they get a whiff of your perfume and whatever you smell like. So I think it's just very hygienic if you actually get the clothes cleaned first before you return it to the designers. And that also saves them from having to pay extra na sila na nga nag-abono for the clothes and then sila pa yung gagastos for the dry cleaning na ikaw naman ang gumamit. So I think it's just courtesy. For the second item on our list is the glam theme. So this is a very crucial aspect of your pageant journey because your relationship with your makeup artist, your hairstylist is very collaborative. And more than just them painting on your looks, they also train you. And you have to be aware that there is this alaga culture when you pick your glam theme. So you're not really free to jump from one makeup artist or one hairstylist to another. Parang kayo na yun kasi they gave you already a look. And they spend a lot of time training you already as well, sharing their skills with you. And at the end of the day, it also reflects on them if you have bad makeup or bad hair, or sometimes it actually looks like confused makeup and confused hair and overall confused styling. That's why it's also good to find your team na pretty much magiging permanent team mo sila. How do you know who to approach? So I find it helpful if you get to look at their Instagram accounts first, especially since the makeup artists and hairstylists are really active online already. So their portfolio is there. So you have to pay attention not only to how their models or their celebrities look like, but also their aesthetic. For example, there are a lot of makeup artists na very skincare lang yung peg nila. So they don't do so much na talagang pageant makeup, pakapal foundation, smoky eyes, they've skipped that na. And their makeup artist naman on the other hand na talagang does the makeup super plakado, is more daring and bold with their looks. And you have to figure out na lang if it matches your personality, if you're comfortable with that kind of look. And if you find a glam theme that matches who you are and understands your personality as well, that they can incorporate into your look, then you found the perfect partnership. A very good example of this beautiful partnership for this year, I've seen the looks of Eliza Malinao and Justine Navato. I actually worked with Justine Navato before and with the celebrities na he also works with kasi nakita ko very fresh yung look niya, barely there yung makeup niya. Pero fresh siya, but at your best. Yun yung aesthetic niya. So when he partnered up with Eliza Malinao, I was like, okay, Eliza actually really needs that kind of look because her features are very strong, very fierce. So Justine Navato, I feel, really found her perfect blank canvas. Kumbaga, yung maganda siya kahit na light makeup and dark makeup, nakuha nila yung look na yon na very fashion as well without it having to be so plakado. And Eliza really needed like a softer touch then in terms of her makeup because she has really strong features, so a little bit of glam already goes a long way. But then at the same time, we love seeing Eliza na very fashion then yung makeup, meaning a little bit of editorial pero maganda pa rin. It's not a one makeup artist fits all kind of thing. Iba-ibang looks per girl and hiyangan din yan, and also you have to match it to some extent to their personality as well. And Eliza's a really lucky girl because she's done a lot of shoots already and a lot of fashion shows, so at least may exposure na siya to different makeup looks and she already knows what she wants and she knows who to work with and who to look for. So ladies, I hope that you find your own unique look where you look the best version of yourself and feel like you're the best version of yourself. And alam mo kasi na look mo na yun kung hindi mo na-feel na may kailangan ka i-adjust, na parang masyado mabigat ata yung itong mata ko, masyadong makapal ata kilay ko, masyado atang pink or red ang lips ko. Experiment with it. and collaborate with your makeup artist also. Up next, we have the skin and body care sponsors. You can usually get sponsors through referrals, but the good thing is that there are so many beauty and skin clinics here in the Philippines na hindi tayo mauubusan ng choices talaga. So you can maybe approach them, or if you know someone who owns one, because parang siguro 1 out of 10 of your friends probably know someone who owns a clinic and is willing to sponsor. One thing you need to be careful about is your agreement with your clinic, because dapat malinaw pa rin yung usapan ninyo. Like, ask them na rin kung how many posts they expect from you, like per month or per week. And syempre, you could also tell them din naman na kunwari if they ask for 1 post every day, na parang pwede mo rin naman sabihin na, is it okay if I do 1 post per week? But 2 stories then a week, yung ganon. So wag kayong mahiya to discuss these things, because I know that my time talaga nahiya ako to like pull back. Feeling ko wala akong say at all kasi ako na lang ngayon tumatanggap ng tulong. Pero it's more of for your relationship with them. You're taking care of both sides para mag-benefit kayo sa isa't isa, and know what you are willing to agree to or willing to give, and as well as what you're not willing to give. So it's good to really just set the expectations, not naman to limit each other, but just so you'll be on the same page. And hindi kayo magkalabuan after, because yung nangyayari din usually niyan, kung nanalo na kayo ng crown sa binibini, biglang parang, sana may pasabog ka rin for us since we give you these free stuff. So minsan na-overwhelm din yung partners nyo. So it's good to find out what you can contribute for them or what you can't, kasi you have to consider also your contract, for example, with Binibining Pilipinas. Baka mamaya may ka-clash sila na sponsor or something. So you can find a way to make it up to them also, or find a way na maka-give back pa rin sa kanila. And make sure that you can give the best effort to give back to everything they have given you as well. And finally, we have, of course, we can't forget our fans, because I remember na I had a lot of silent fans also who would send me makeup, ask me what else I need for my pageant. Do I need shoes? Do I need more dresses? And they may not be like major sponsors in your pageant journey, but they're still something, and it helps a lot, because during your pageant journey, every bit of help really counts. So don't forget to thank them and to celebrate with them. So that wraps it up for our episode for today. I hope those tips could help you in your pageant journey. And our moral lesson for today lang talaga is matuto rin magbilang, know the value of what other people are giving to you for free. So always think of ways to give it back to them as well. If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so that you won't have to miss an episode. Thank you.